Hey, what's up? We love Burger King grilled dogs. They're made with 100% beef, and they're 100%. They're so good, they make us want to sing like... I can't believe it. Burger King made a grilled dog. Made with 100% beef. Flame grilled anytime you want. You can try it in classic or chili cheese.
Flame grilled and made with 100% beef, starting at just $1.99. Get a grilled dog now at participating Burger King restaurants. Flame grilling hot dogs since 2016. Price and participation vary.
Blog Talk Radio.
Donald Trump here. Do what I do. Listen to the Brian Craig Show. He's fantastic. He's a lot better than Rush, Beck, Levin, and Hannity. Trust me, those guys are losers. Brian, he's a winner. You better believe it. His wife, Kathy, she's as hot as Melania. Okay, now it's time for the show. Listen to everything Brian has to say. He's a very smart guy, just like me.
I'm back!
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida.
The great story here is this vast right-wing conspiracy that has been conspiring against my husband since the day he announced for president.
Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy.
But I want to say one thing to the American people. I want you to listen to me. I'm going to say this again. I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky.
You can follow Brian on Twitter and Facebook and listen to archived shows at briancraigshow.com.
What difference at this point does it make?
And now, Brian Craig.
I'm back!
All right, and welcome to another edition of the Brian Craig Show. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. And you can listen to all of our past episodes on iTunes. Just go to iTunes and search for The Brian Craig Show. We're also on the TuneIn app, as well as Stitcher Radio and many other places. But those are the main ones. Just go to any of those places and search for The Brian Craig Show. You can also follow us on Twitter and Periscope at Brian Craig Show. And on Facebook, facebook.com/Brian Craig Show. All right, again, my name is Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Welcome, everyone, to the program, and we got a lot to talk about on the show today. And you're all welcome to, if you're watching live on Periscope, feel free to call in and participate. You know, this apology, Kathy and I were talking earlier about this apology that Obama made to Japan for dropping the bomb. And, you know, I've been thinking about this today, and Kathy had said to me, would you have been upset at Donald Trump if he had apologized to the Japanese for dropping the bomb, as opposed to being upset at Obama for apologizing to it, and you're mad at him for it? Well, no, if Donald Trump apologized to the Japanese like Obama did today for dropping the bomb, no, I would not be angry at Donald Trump. In fact, President Trump, if he did that, I would support it. And here's why, and then I'll bring Kathy in, and your calls and comments in the chat room are certainly welcome. See, Donald Trump is an American president who loves America and puts America first. It's one of the things that's making him so popular. Obama is anti-American and believes that dropping the two A-bombs on Japan is another American atrocity, like what we did to the Indians, and the list goes on and on and on. And when Obama goes over there and hugs a survivor of the Hiroshima bombing and talks about ridding the world of nuclear weapons and says death fell from the sky, uses all of this poetry, it's coming from the viewpoint of someone who believes that the United States committed an atrocity in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And if Donald Trump did the exact same thing, it wouldn't be with that context or emotion behind it. So no, if President Trump had apologized to the Japanese and hugged a survivor of Hiroshima, I would not be upset, and I would support him. And I'll tell you, Obama picked a pretty bad weekend to do that. You know, Friday morning, he went to Hiroshima and did what he did. And it's Memorial Day weekend, and Memorial Day is a day and a weekend when people who lost their lives in all of our wars are remembered and memorialized. And there's a great many of them whose lives were lost at the hands of the Japanese. So it was a really bad weekend, big time, to do what he did. What do you think, Kath?
I think the timing was pretty bad. I think it was a crappy.
You got to speak up a little bit.
I said I think the timing was really bad, and I.
Oh yeah.
I think it's I think it's a crappy thing to do, and I think the intent is important here. I think you're right. If Donald Trump did it, it would have a different intent or motivation. But I think Obama clearly comes from the motivation of apologizing for the atrocities of white America, and I think it sends the wrong message. And I think that's his motivation and his thinking. And I think to do it on Memorial Day weekend, I'm surprised nobody is discussing this on the TV or anything. If they could take a break from Trump, they could get people on that could maybe say, this is Memorial Day weekend. It might not be the best. You might as well do it on the anniversary of Pearl Harbor in December. Exactly. That's not an accident either.
Yeah. No. It was disrespectful to American veterans, and certainly the ones who died in the Second World War. And it was just bad news that he did. It really was a disgrace. What I wonder is, the people around Obama, they're so left-wing and radical. Do they realize the significance of going to Hiroshima on Memorial Day weekend? It probably doesn't even occur to them because they're not in that mindset. They're in the Black Lives Matter mindset or the Occupy Wall Street mindset. They don't really understand the meaning of Memorial Day to most liberals is just a weekend to get a Monday off and go out and get drunk on a Sunday night for a change. That's what it means to most, sadly, most people in the country.
Right.
Yeah. No, it was.
Unfortunately,
it's bad news. Yeah, it's bad news. The whole context of it. Listen, I like the Japanese. I don't want people to think that I was talking about this on the radio this morning. I don't want people to think I hold any grudges against the Japanese people. I love the Japanese, and they're great friends and allies, and they're very interesting people. But after the Second World War, there was a very long military occupation of Japan, and which continues today. We have that big base in Okinawa that the Japanese are always complaining about, and part of the treaty when they lost the war is we're going to have that base for as long as we want to have it. The Japanese in the 30s and in the 40s were the Al-Qaeda and ISIS of their day. And they were worse than Al-Qaeda and ISIS because they had an air force, they had a navy, they had an army, and they occupied a lot of foreign countries. And a huge part, they were I don't need to go through the history of they were worse than ISIS and Al-Qaeda and all of the terrorists we're dealing with. And what happened after the war is we did something that Obama and the left think is racist. We Americanized them. We Americanized Japan, and that's why people that were worse than Al Qaeda and ISIS in their day in the 30s and the 40s. Here we are 70 years later, and they've been Americanized, and that's a good thing. And that's why they're a great people and a great nation today. And, but you can't, one of the reasons these wars go on forever, Vietnam went on forever and poor ending, the war on terror, is because, political correctness that Donald Trump's talking about all the time, political correctness stops us from being able to go to Americanize a country, even one that's attacked us and killed so many, is racist, national. You can't Americanize people anymore. And that's why these wars go on so long now. It's disgusting what Obama did in Hiroshima, yes, because of the context of who he is.
Well, and I guess it's not getting a lot of play on that because there's not very many World War II veterans alive, anymore. So I think if this happened 10 years ago, I think maybe you'd see a lot more people talking about it because you'd have World War II parades and think, most of those guys are gone. It's a couple generations later. Yeah. History gets rewritten, and that's what happens. Mm-hmm. And it makes you wonder what happened, 2 or 3 generations ago. What else happened that has been rewritten or changed that we learn? You know what I mean? Because now they're leaving out what you said, what the Japanese did. And obviously you're not going to blame this generation for what happened. You're not. That'd be like blaming us for slavery or blaming the current Germany for Hitler. You don't do that. But you don't go back and play Monday morning quarterback 60 years later, 70 years later, and say, well, this was a crappy thing. We shouldn't have done it. He wasn't there. He has no idea what it was like. He's completely removed from the situation. And the context, it's totally taken out of context. When you go back to a place so much later and you apologize for something that happened 70 years ago, I mean, it's almost a century, and it's taken completely out of the context. It was a completely different time. I mean, we talk about this with Emily. She's 17, and she's only a generation behind us, and things are so different with her. It's like we say things, and she looks at us like we're crazy because it's like, she'll say, Mom, Dad, it's not like that anymore. And things are different now. And, like for her, there's like gay boys at her school that are very open and out and this and that. And, when I was in high school, if that would have happened, those guys were bullied. They were picked on. Oh, my gosh. She said it's not like that. Everybody's accepting everybody. So it's like things are so different. And when it's a weird comparison, but when you go to a situation that happened so long ago and you look at it from an abstract point of view and you judge it and you pass judgment on it and the people, and all those people are dead, so they can't talk back. They can't come back at you and say, well, I was there and you're wrong. They're all gone now. And it just is a crappy thing to do.
Well,
it's
another thing about Obama, and the thing about Obama, a couple things about Obama, and we'll break and I'll move on to some other things, as I talked about this a lot on the radio today, so I don't want to go over everything I did on the radio here, but this is an important thing that happened. Obama is basically saying to the American people, World War II, the Bataan Death March, Pearl Harbor, all these things were 70 years ago. Forget about them and move on. And then in the next breath, he'll tell us that we still have to deal with slavery that ended 150 years ago.
Well, of course.
That's something that we still have to deal with. But what the Japanese – so you can't have it both ways. Either slavery was a long time ago and it should be we should move on from it and not punish America for it. Or you got to say, wait a minute, the Japanese did some things that caused this. There's a big double standard with Obama on this, and he's so radical that he doesn't even see the double standard. And I was talking about this today. The left have been so. Obama went to college in the 80s, which is when Reagan was president, and that's when the liberals were all into the nuclear freeze because there was a big buildup of nuclear weapons. And, and what they used to talk about all the time then, the anti-nuclear weapon crowd, is that, well, the United States is the only country that's dropped nuclear bombs, and that was always a big state. So, Obama went to college during this Ronald Reagan period where there was a lot of talk about how wrong it was to drop those bombs on Japan. He's just been brainwashed. I mean, he's just been brainwashed.
Definitely. Well, he was educated by anti-war Vietnam people. You know what I mean? He was in college in the 70s, and he was educated by professors that were hippies and that were very anti-American. He comes from a very anti-American perspective.
Yeah.
Exactly.
People like Bill Ayers types.
Yeah, and that's his point of view, and he really, I think, feels he's doing the right thing.
Yeah, and another thing liberals do, when liberals look at things of the past, they judge people in the past by the standards of today, and Obama has no understanding of how bad the Japanese were before the war, and not only did the bombs save hundreds of thousands of lives, Americans and Japanese and Allied lives. But before we dropped the first one, we told them now nobody had seen a nuclear bomb before, but we told them we were going to do it. We explained to them what we had. They still didn't. We dropped one. They still didn't surrender after we dropped the bomb on Hiroshima. We dropped the one on Nagasaki a couple days later, and we told them we were going to do that too in advance. And they still didn't surrender. Now, they surrendered after the second one, But the big secret of the time is we didn't have a third bomb. They didn't know that, so they thought Japan was going to be filled with A-bombs. We only had 2, but we, it was a big secret. But we told them even after we dropped the first one, they wouldn't give up. And when you look at Japan, it would have been like Vietnam. It would have gone on forever. And I would think, I don't know. I really don't know. But I would think Japanese people today, if they were honest with themselves, would be happy that the war turned out the way it did and the bombs were dropped, because their culture was a militaristic culture that was run by the Army and the Navy with the deity of the emperor. And they have democracy. They have they're a very significant country today. They're one of the most advanced nations. They've really benefited from the way I would think an average Japanese person today would much rather live in Japan the way it is today, as opposed to what it would have been like today if the Japanese had not lost the war. I don't know. I would think they're better off today than if the Japanese had won the war.
Well, that's kind of like when you've said that, a lot of black people hate America so much. But I don't see them running back to the motherland. And if we hadn't brought, obviously slavery was a horrible thing, but if we hadn't brought slaves over to this country, then there wouldn't be nearly as many blacks as there are in this country now. It'd be probably half, maybe even less. And what kind of a life who the hell wants to live in Africa? I'm sure there's
no one wants to live in Africa.
And if you got money, maybe South Africa if you're white, but most of Africa is very tribal, and they live in very squalor conditions. Not very many people get educated, and
there's no country better than America. And
exactly.
And,
so what's so wrong with being Americanized? Why is that such a bad thing?
It's considered a negative thing. If you're a radical, if you're an Obama or Bernie Sanders person, Americanizing is racist, ethnocentric, nationalistic. It's all these negatives, and it's really a good thing. And I would think the Japanese people are much better off being Americanized. That's what I would think. Well, listen, we'll take a break, and when we get back from the break, we'll take some calls and bring up some other topics as well. All right, you're listening to the Brian Craig Show. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. If you're watching live on Periscope or listening live, you can give us a call. Our number 347-945-5112. I gave out the. Oh, you know what I gave out? I gave out the wrong 347. Did I say 347 or 954? I can't remember what it is. Let me get the number again. 347-945-5112. Hey, I think I gave it out right. Yeah, I gave it out right the first time. 347-945-5112 is our number. If you'd like to call in, please do. I see people calling in already, and we'll take some calls when we get back. All right? You're listening to The Brian Craig Show. Again, I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll be right back.
Do you love to doodle? I do. Everyone loves to doodle. Doodle is a lot of fun, but it's also an art form. I want to share with you a great book that I found that you have to order. Doodle Art Handbook, the non-artist guide in creative drawing from authors Lana Carr and Olga D. Inside, you will find the wonderful and incredible world of doodle art and be inspired to bring out your inner doodle. Doodle Art Handbook, the non-artist guide in creative drawing, has step-by-step lessons on how to draw, even if you have no experience. Learn how to draw animals, flowers, trees, and much more in doodle art style. You will even learn advanced techniques like shading, depth, and how to draw 3D objects. Doodle Art Handbook, the non-artist guide in creative drawing from authors Lana Carr and Olga D. is available on both Amazon and the iBook store. Order your copy today and get your doodle on. And don't forget to visit their website, doodleartclub.com, filled with all kinds of great resources. Doodle Art Handbook, the non-artist guide in creative drawing from authors Lana Carr and Olga D. available on Amazon and the iBook store.
Is your wireless service throttling you around? Don't get throttled. Switch to GCN Mobile, powered by AT&T. No contract, no credit check on the #1 coverage AT&T network with uncapped 4G LTE speed. Upgrade your data plan anytime. Rollover data, mobile hotspot, free access to thousands of Wi-Fi hotspots nationwide. Buy a phone or bring your own. Unlimited talk, text plans starting at $24.95. 4 gigabytes, $49.95. 8 gigabytes, $69.95. 10 gigabytes, $79.95. 15 gigabytes, $99.95. Visit us today at www.gcnmobile.wearegcn.com.
Hi, I'm Emily. I'm starting this GoFundMe campaign to help me go on an educational tour to England and France with my school. This trip would allow me amazing opportunities to see and do the things I love, and with your help, I can get there. The first stop, Paris. While in Paris, I'll get to see famous landmarks like the Eiffel Tower and the Arc de Triomphe. I'll be able to add photos to my photography portfolio while touring the Champs-Élysées and Versailles. I'll be able to sketch and learn from history's greatest artists at the Louvre. After 4 days of absorbing the rich culture of Paris, we'll be traveling by Eurostar train to London. There, I'll see some of the world's most famous landmarks, including Big Ben and St. Paul's Cathedral. I'll get to see the wonders of England, including Buckingham Palace, Windsor Castle, and Stonehenge. This would be the trip of a lifetime, and with your donation, I can have an unforgettable experience.
To help send Emily to Europe, just go to GoFundMe.com and search Send Emily to Europe.
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast. You can follow Brian on Twitter and Facebook and listen to archived shows at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian Craig.
All right, we are back. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. You are listening to The Brian Craig Show. Don't forget, follow us on Periscope and Twitter at Brian Craig Show. And listen to all of our past episodes on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, TuneIn Radio. Just go to those places and search for The Brian Craig Show. And I'm going to give a little plug for our daughter. That was our daughter, Emily, there with her GoFundMe campaign. And if you go to BrianCraigShow.com, I've got a link directly to her GoFundMe campaign. She's raising money for a school trip she's taking next year to Europe. And if any of you can donate, we'd appreciate it. Any size donation is welcome. Emily's working hard on that. And I know some of you have donated to her GoFundMe campaign, and thank you all very, very much. Well, okay, I hate to do this stuff. I really, people in the chat room just lose control sometimes, Kathy, and say inappropriate things. All right, well, listen, let's go to, come on. Let's go to the phones. You're on the air. What's your name, and where are you calling from?
Are you talking to me?
Sounds like you.
Yes. Hi, this is Sharon, and I'm in Nebraska.
Hey, Sharon, where are you calling from, Sharon?
Nebraska.
Nebraska, Sharon in Nebraska. What's on your mind?
Well, I was looking at your show, and you wrote on there that Obama apologized to Japan.
Well, yeah. He didn't say the words,
right.
I am sorry. But, yeah, his tone was an apologetic tone, absolutely.
Okay, because I was going to say he made it a point not to apologize.
No, it was an apology.
It was wrong.
You don't think that was an apology? He went to Hiroshima. He talked about.
Right.
He said death fell from the sky. He
right.
talked about ridding the world of nuclear weapons, which have kept the
right.
peace really on a global scale since 1945. It sounded like an apology to me. He didn't use the words "on behalf of America, we are sorry." But it was an apologetic tone. Would you not agree?
No. I agree that he was sorry that people died, and he doesn't want to see that happen again. But he never said that Truman made a mistake, or he never said he was sorry.
No,
so,
it was a tone of sorry.
Well,
let me ask you this:
tone.
do you think if Obama could end the war on terror against ISIS and Al Qaeda and the radical Islamists, and he could do it by dropping 1 or 2 nuclear devices somewhere in the Middle East, do you think he would do it?
I hope not, because he's destroying.
Really?
It would destroy the earth as well.
It would destroy what?
The environment.
You're kidding me, right? You're pulling my leg, Nebraska. You're pulling my leg.
No,
You're kidding
me.
You're not serious.
No,
the
I'm
environment
not.
of the desert. The environment?
Oh, no. The air, the water.
The environment.
I mean, there is still repercussions from.
Really, I saw Hiroshima on television today, and it looks beautiful. It looks like it's done very well after the nuclear strike. So you mean to tell me
it may look
that,
okay, but it's not okay.
It's fine.
There's all kinds of genetic problems with the people.
Oh my gosh, you got genetic problems. Well, maybe they shouldn't have bombed Pearl Harbor. How about that?
You know what?
There's there's some genetic problems that we as Americans have. There are genetic problems that we as Americans have suffered because of what the Japanese did in the Second World War. Our gene pool has been thinned out quite a bit because many genes were killed off. You understand what I mean? Oh, she hung up. She hung up, Kathy.
I guess you aggravated her too much.
She said Now the question I asked her is if we could end the war on terror by dropping 1 or 2 nuclear bombs, do you think Obama would do it? She says, I hope not, because of the environmental impact it would have.
That would, I don't like death or anything, but if they did that, I think it would save so many thousands, if not millions. Look at how many people are being terrorized and killed because of ISIS.
Yes.
And if Trump did that, the liberals would go nuts. But it would it would end that problem immediately.
Well, that's the problem with the left. The left she's actually, I remember once after 9/11.
But of course, she's probably pro-abortion, which kills thousands and thousands of babies a year. But that's okay for her.
I didn't
she's
get
a freaking
to that part.
Hypocrite.
She hung up before we could get to that.
Yeah.
I didn't even finish on the environmental impact. Not long after 9/11, on the Steve Kane Show, we had these 2 guests in studio who were leaders in the Green Party. And they were opposed. It was when the invasion of Afghanistan had just begun, and they were opposed to military intervention in Afghanistan. This was December, January after 9/11. And I didn't think of this. A caller called in, very smart caller, with the Green Party people, brought up something and said, they don't want to go to war against the Taliban after what they did on 9/11. But if the Taliban had driven a nail in a California redwood or had taken an oil tanker and spilled the oil on some beach somewhere in Alaska, they would want an all-out invasion. And you know what? It's true. Liberals' priorities are so – environmental terrorism, oh, my gosh. But terrorism against people, well, there's too many people on the earth anyway.
Crazy.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
I wonder if she was a Bernie person or a Hillary person.
Does it matter?
I don't know. All right, let's take another call. Oh, my gosh.
Friday
Nick
night.
from Baltimore.
Yeah, how you doing, guys?
Hey, Nick.
Before we start, I got to tell you, I want to thank Nick. I thanked him already on Facebook, but I want to thank him here. Nick has donated to our daughter's GoFundMe campaign to Europe, and I appreciate that, Nick, and Emily appreciate it.
Very
Thanks
nice.
so much.
Well, you're all very welcome. She sounds great, by the way, Emily.
Yeah, she's turned out all right.
Yeah, she sounds really great.
I've kept Emily kind of hidden, from the. I used to bring her to appearances when she was a little kid, but as she became a teenager, I kept her out of the off social media and things for people to see. So people are seeing and hearing her for the first time, and I've heard from more than one of the fans that think they hate me. They're pissed off, and they're pissed off because I've got a daughter who turned out so well. It pisses them off.
Well, she's got 2 great parents, as I've said before, but she's going to get an education. Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, she's going to get an education that you can't get in a classroom.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
when she gets back, she can say, "I've gone to London, I've gone to Paris, I've been to this place," and that's really it's a wonderful thing. So
that's right.
Congratulations to Emily.
What do you think now? What'd you think of our liberal from Nebraska who doesn't want to nuke ISIS because of the environmental impact it would have?
I think the lady doesn't really understand. Listen, let me just say this: nobody wants war. War is a horrible thing.
Absolutely.
Nobody wants to be. No one wants. A bomb. But the thing is, we were attacked first, in 1941.
That's right.
We were drawn into we weren't in World War II. We were drawn into World War II.
Right.
While the Japanese were, going to the negotiating table, and they're saying, well, while they were negotiating or while they were talking to us, they were planning the attack. So,
that's right. The attack was on its way while there were negotiations going on.
Exactly.
The fleet was on its way. I was expecting him to stop off in Tokyo to apologize to them for Jimmy Doolittle's raid.
The problem with President Obama is this. It's not – the thing is, he comes into the perspective of we're in the wrong.
Yes, always. Yeah.
And we're like it or not, I mean, is this country perfect? No. Do we do everything right? No. But we do a lot of things that are right. And you take this country out of the equation, this world wouldn't be as progressed as it has been.
That's right.
I know that's horrible English, but the thing is,
you're right.
I think if you took America completely off the map, like just if God could snap his fingers and boom, America's completely gone, I think the world would fall into complete chaos. Complete chaos, no doubt in my mind, because we are who everybody looks to for strength, for support, for help.
Right.
All these other countries in Europe, and they act like they're all better than us. But believe me, if they got invaded or if they were in trouble, who the hell do you think they would call first?
And the thing, well, they do it all the time. They call us every time they're. Here's the thing, because what Obama, it's a sad thing. I feel bad for Obama. I really do, because Obama doesn't understand, because he's been brainwashed with these radical liberals at the university level. Yeah. But I used to hear. I heard from professors in college what Obama heard, but I went to college as an adult, so my brain wasn't washed. I just had to put up with it. And what they teach. I'm serious. If I went to college right out of high school, I might think more like Obama. Oh my gosh! But what they teach in liberal colleges about Pearl Harbor in the Second World War is that the war was the fault of the United States because we had an oil embargo on the Japanese, which is true. But we had an oil embargo because they invaded China and were committing atrocities there beyond imagination. And that's why we had an embargo against them.
Well, it's so – hold on, Nick. I'm sorry. It's so ironic because Obama is supposedly – I mean, he's from Hawaii, of all places.
Yeah, right.
Which is where Pearl Harbor
– didn't even think about that, Kathy.
I'm sure he's been to Pearl Harbor. I've been to Pearl Harbor. I went when I was 20 years old, and let me tell you, there were a lot of Japanese people walking around. It was really weird. And I went with my dad and my family, and I said that to him. I said, Dad, there's so many Japanese people. It's really – he says, I know. And if you look out, there's like a big hill, and if you look out, there's a huge burial site. And then you go out to the Arizona. You take a boat, and you go out, and there's like a little bridge, and you walk on the bridge, and you look down, and you're on top of the Arizona. And they tell you all those men are still there. Their bodies are still there.
That's right.
They're skeletons now. They're fish food. And this is a guy who's from Hawaii. His home
you know what?
state
Kathy,
was
I'd forgotten.
He goes to Japan. I mean, what a jerk.
Yeah, you know what? I'd forgotten that Obama claims to be from Hawaii. Maybe, Nick.
Yes.
Maybe this is more evidence that he's not from Hawaii. That he has no sympathy for Pearl Harbor. How could a kid who grew up in Hawaii not have any sympathy for Pearl Harbor? I didn't even think about that, Kathy. Yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah.
Well, he's disconnected. He's disconnected from all that.
Yeah, and this is
I gotta just say this, and I appreciate your comments and Kathy's comments, because it's really Kathy, you're right on point. He and I'm not here to knock the president. I'm not his fan, and I didn't vote for him.
Yeah.
But the thing of it is, he was asked, well, are you going to go to Arlington National Cemetery? He said no.
Yeah. That's disgusting.
So I mean, why? A lot of things are, you should let sleeping dogs lie. You shouldn't be going over there. Yes, it was a horrible thing. War is horrible. But, by going over there and by just being there, you're saying, well, we were, this is in the past and we were in the wrong. Maybe 100 years from now, maybe 200 years from now, you can, make an appearance. I mean, not him, but I mean, somebody can make an appearance there. I'm not saying that again. War is a pretty thing, but just ask Richie the bus driver. He was over in Vietnam. The thing is that these kids don't understand what's really going on.
Well, it would be like what Obama did today.
removed.
What Obama did today would be like the president of France, who might do it. They still got that socialist guy, but it would be like the president of France going and apologizing to Germany for them being invaded. It's just bizarre. It's bizarre what he
weird.
did. And the reason I know this sounds a little crazy, but I feel bad for Obama. I'm not really angry at him because he's been so brainwashed. Like these Bernie Sanders people that are protesting at these Trump rallies out in California. He's so brainwashed he knows no different. That's just how he was raised.
Well, and the other thing I'm steamed about, and my sister, she's in the chat room and she can jump on the phone here. We had an uncle. He just passed away not too long ago.
Oh, sorry.
He was up in Pennsylvania. He was a prisoner of war.
Oh.
During World War II. And he survived
in Europe
that.
or Pacific? Where at? In the Pacific or in Europe?
It was I believe. And Kathy, can you jump on here or in the chat room? I believe it was in Europe. I believe it was Germany. Okay, I just heard it was Germany.
Yeah.
But the thing is that this is reality. It's a terrible thing, but sometimes war is necessary. And let's fast forward to 9/11. Just ask those people who died on 9/11.
Yeah.
That was war. That was an attack.
It was. Yeah. I mean, it was. It certainly was. It was. And if you think about it, the reason that 9/11 happened is because the liberals, Bill Clinton, had multiple opportunities to take out Osama bin Laden and wouldn't do it, and wouldn't do it because of political correctness. Because we don't want to bomb. I'm not supportive of bombing people and killing people. I'm opposed to war.
Right.
But the Second World War. If we would have had to invade, they had a plan to invade Japan. If we had to invade Japan, that war would have gone on for maybe another 20 years. And God only knows how many people would have died, not just Americans, but Japanese. And look at Japan today. Japan is one of our, and this is another thing that kind of burns me. Japan is probably one of the closest friends America has, which is crazy to think about. But after the experience, and I really think Obama opened up some wounds today over there. I don't think he healed. I don't think it was any healing.
No, I don't think. I think you're right. Let me ask you two guys something here. And Kathy and you are students of history. Did not the United States? Didn't we build these countries up after the war?
Yeah, the Marshall Plan in Europe, and I don't know what the equivalent was in Japan, but we rebuilt all of Japan. And look what a good job. I mean, look at Hiroshima today. It was everything I saw of it was beautiful.
Yeah. So I mean, we dropped the bomb, and but that was after we were attacked, and then afterwards we rebuilt the place. So
it made it better.
Yeah, America's really a bad country, right?
Exactly. They start a war with us. I mean, and the atrocities that they committed. There's a book that I was telling people on the radio this morning. I had to read this book in college, and I kept it. And it's the most disturbing book I've ever read. It's called The Rape of Nanjing, and it's Nanjing, China. And when the Japanese occupied Nanjing, the atrocities they committed. everybody was raped in that city, and they made men have sex with their grandmothers, their daughters, and their mothers, or they would cut their heads off. And this book is, I mean, it's really we were people think in World War II we were dealing with the guys that make Japanese anime cartoons. That's not who we were dealing with. We were dealing with a culture worse than ISIS because they were so well armed and organized. They had a military, and it's a sad thing that it happened. But just to go like. It's because of as I was saying earlier, Nick, if Trump did it, it would be different because the context would be different. The context of who Obama is what made it inappropriate, in my opinion.
I think he, and I hate, again, this is sounding like I'm going to bash Obama, and I hate to sound like this, but I think he did it. I think everything he does is for spite.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
Because we don't want him to do it.
No, I think he, and I think he hates this country, and I think he just, I agree.
Kathy's right.
He just hates the country. I mean, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He does it out of spite, and it's a big FU.
He doesn't love the country like we do.
To do this on Memorial Day is an FU to everybody that died in that war. And
he
knows that.
Sure
he knows that. He's not.
Well, listen, we got to take a break, but Nick, appreciate the call as always.
Hey,
all right,
have
Nick
a great
in
weekend.
Baltimore.
You too.
Yes.
Have a good weekend.
Memorial Day weekend. All right, listen, we're going to take a
Day.
break, and when we get back, there's more to share, all right? You're listening to The Brian Craig Show. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Visit our website, briancraigshow.com, and follow us on Twitter at Brian Craig Show, and also Facebook, facebook.com/Brian Craig Show. All right, we'll be right back.
These days, graphic art can be downloaded and used for many projects, whether you are into digital scrapbooking or traditional scrapbooking. If you have a website or a blog, need party favors or invitations, cupcake toppers, want to create a new iPhone case, you can. Or maybe just simply print and frame art for your space. Digital graphics are your best bet for getting the look you want in this technological age. I want to tell you about the Graphic Monster, or as I like to call her, Kathy, my wife. TheGraphicMonster.com is Kathy's website and offers colorful and whimsical designs that are all digital and at affordable prices. Check out Kathy's Etsy store and see them for yourself. Kathy sells scrapbooking paper packs with digital papers and clip art of your favorite characters with awesome designs. There's t-shirt designs too, coloring pages, and much more. It's so easy. Simply pick the designs you want, buy with one click, and download them instantly to your computer. Then the graphics are yours to use forever. There are great printables for digital backgrounds. And check out the apparel and accessories featuring Kathy's whimsical and original designs. So visit Kathy's website right now, thegraphicmonster.com, thegraphicmonster.com, and click the store link on the left-hand side, thegraphicmonster.com. Graphic art from my wife Kathy at affordable prices, thegraphicmonster.com. It doesn't matter how much makeup you buy or what kind of outfit you wear. If your hair doesn't look fabulous, then nothing looks right. Finding the right salon in your neighborhood can be a challenge. But if you live in Beverly Hills, California, there is only one choice, and that is Hair by Tanya of Beverly Hills. Now, there are many choices in this town, but you want to find a salon that will treat you special and one that can cater to your specific needs. Hair by Tanya specializes in color highlights, ombre haircuts, eyelash extensions. She also offers blow-dry services, updos, facials, manicures, and pedicures, and so much more. Visit Tanya's website today, TanyaSegal.com, S-E-G-A-L, TanyaSegal.com. You can also find Hair by Tanya of Beverly Hills on Facebook and Instagram. Just search for Hair by Tanya of Beverly Hills. And when you're there, you can see her before and after pictures. You will be impressed with her work. Right now, she's running a promotion for 25% off all services. You can also give her a call, 310-489-8833. 310-489-8833. This is the salon you've been looking for. How much money have you wasted over the years throwing away food that spoiled or went stale because you didn't close the bag tight enough? If you're like me, it's more money in the garbage than you want to think about. Your days of throwing money away are over thanks to the multi-use bag tie. The multi-use bag tie is the perfect reusable tie that helps keep bagged foods and snack items fresher, longer. Use the multi-use bag tie for everything. Refrigerator items like salad bags and french fries. Keep your bread fresh. You can use it for flour bags. It's even great for the bathroom and the garage with your blow dryer, curling irons, drills, and keep your electrical cords neat, orderly, and safe. And it does a whole lot more, too. You arthritis and carpal tunnel syndrome sufferers, no longer will you have to suffer from pain twisting your wrist. With the multi-use bag tie, you can store your items without twisting your wrist. Just pinch, slide, and your bag is tied. Find them at Ace Hardware, Save Mart Supermarkets, and Tap Plastics. Or go to multiusetie.com. MultiUsetie. Multiusetie.com.
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. You can follow Brian on Twitter and Facebook and listen to archived shows at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian Craig.
All right, we are back. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. That's right. Facebook.com/Brian Craig Show is our Facebook page. Make sure you go there and like that page or friend me. And there's also, if you put Brian Craig or the Brian Craig Show on Facebook, there's a couple of pages up there, actually. You can find us there and all of our past episodes on iTunes. Just go to iTunes, search for The Brian Craig Show. You can find us in many other places as well and learn more about us at our website, briancraigshow.com. You know, I thought this story this morning, Kathy, was a joke, but it's true. And I show this. There was this, at this museum, someone had left their eyeglasses on the floor. And some teenagers came in and thought that the glasses sitting on the floor of the museum was actually artwork and started taking pictures of them on the floor. It was very bizarre. And, you know, it really goes to show you how little art there is today. You know, what passes for art is, you know, not really art.
I always say that I think Da Vinci and Michelangelo would roll over in their graves. Rolling over in their graves. I think if they came back to life, well, I don't know. Da Vinci for sure. He would definitely be appalled at modern art. Michelangelo, I don't know. But I think they would be very shocked at what passes for art these days. I think they would, especially if they saw, like, the Madonna in piss. I think that would really freak them out. They were pretty religious.
Urine.
Yeah. I think
that
would really freak them out.
There was another story here today, too. Is a lot of celebrity stuff today. You know, I was always a fan of Larry Hagman. You know, when I was a little kid, I used to watch I Dream of Jeannie, and I used to watch Dallas. I was a kid, but I remember the Who Shot JR. I remember all of that. And Bobby was in the shower, and the whole season before it was a dream. I used to watch all that stuff.
I heard he was a bastard. Is that true?
Well, that's what I was getting to with this article, because it's a really sad thing about Larry. And they did that reboot of Dallas, which got canceled, and he was on that as JR, and it was pretty good. The new Dallas, I liked it.
Yeah, he's a good actor.
It was really good. You know, and poor Patrick. Remember Patrick Duffy? His parents in the 90s were murdered. Both of Patrick Duffy's parents were murdered. They had a store somewhere, and they were robbed and murdered. It was terrible. Yeah. Remember he had that show with Suzanne Summers, like a sitcom? I never watched it.
Yes, Step by Step.
Yeah, Step by Step. Well, anyway, there was this story today, and I don't, you know, I get mixed feelings about this. Larry Hagman's daughter gave an interview.
Yeah.
And she said his last words to her was, I'm sorry. And it was about his drinking and his womanizing. And, well, I mean, why did she got to do that? Why does she got to do that, though? I mean, she must really be pissed off.
Well, because he probably made her life miserable, made her mother's life miserable, lived a completely selfish existence.
His last words were, forgive me, she said. Not, I'm sorry, forgive me.
That's convenient. You know what I mean? That's convenient. You F up somebody's life for 80, 60 freaking years, And then on your deathbed, you say, forgive me. And they're supposed to you are supposed to forgive people. That's what Jesus says to do. But it's hard to do that as a human when somebody has ruined your life, and then right when they're ready to die, it doesn't surprise me, because he probably lived a very selfish life, and here he is on his deathbed, and he's still thinking about himself. Forgive me.
Well, it's kind of like, Emily's coming to the dog's going to go nuts. Well, you know what? It's kind of like a Mommy Dearest kind of thing, and it was, Mother's Day was a couple of weeks ago, and one of the cable networks. Hey, what's going on? Our daughter just came home. I don't know if it was TNT or one of the cable networks did like an all-day marathon of Mommy Dearest, and I've seen Mommy Dearest.
I thought that was funny on Mother's Day. I thought that was funny.
Could have been the air conditioning. Yeah, I'll take a look tomorrow. But I wonder about the Mommy Dearest. I don't know. I remember the girl's name in Mommy Dearest. Oh, what was the Christina. I don't know. I wonder how true all that is in Mommy Dearest. I always wonder that when I see, because she had been that bad. Really?
She had other. She had other kids. She had 4. So she had other kids she adopted, and they said no.
Yeah, so I don't know what that's about, and but this thing with maybe it's just because I'm a fan of Larry Hagman's, but I really, he's been dead a couple of years. Why does his daughter got to go out there and trash him? I mean, it's really in bad taste, to say the least. Because she's pissed off. That's why. Yeah, she's pissed. Yeah. I mean, he ruined her life and cheated on her mother, and she's. And he just says, "Oh, forgive me," and that's supposed to make everything okay. It's not apparently okay with her. I don't know. I don't think if you were angry at your parents, would you go would you go to the press and trash them after they were dead like that? I don't think so.
No, I would not. I would not do that. But no, I wouldn't. But she's a celebrity's kid, so what are you going to do?
And I just what's the name of the actress that Mommy Dearest is about?
Joan Crawford.
Yeah, Joan Crawford. Christina Crawford. I think it's disgusting, and that whole movie is disgusting. Trashing her mother like that. I mean, no matter how bad it was, I wouldn't do anything like that. I wouldn't do anything like that at all. You and I were talking today about
and
the
Betty
news.
Davis's daughter wrote a book about her too, after she died, or I think she wrote it when she was still alive. I can't remember. About what a horrible mother she was, and when you're a celebrity and people know who you are. I mean, a lot of people have crappy parents, but when you're a celebrity and people know you, the kids can get a lot of money. She was offered a lot of money to write a book about you, and if you were a crappy parent, it's very tempting for a kid to say, you know what, you ruined my life, I'm going to ruin yours, and let everybody know what you're really all about.
Yeah, it's like that kid that played David Hasselhoff's son in Baywatch sold his story to one of the tabloids about, it was all this nasty stuff that never happened about David Hasselhoff. Well, that's how people are. You and I were talking earlier about the news with Trump, and sometimes there's really no news anymore. It's all Trump. Every network is all Trump, and
it is.
It's crazy. I'll turn on CNN, and they'll have a segment on Trump, and then they'll tease the next segment, and they're teasing a segment about Donald Trump, and then you switch, and it's that way on Fox for the most part, and on MSNBC too. And there's really, there's no news anymore. It's all Trump. That's the only news there is.
Crazy.
Is Trump. And this is the thing about it. Okay. You have no idea what the hell's going on in the world. We're talking about this thing with Obama. Obama went to Vietnam the other day, too, which was a pretty big deal and very offensive to a lot of people. And it's not even been in the news. But, Donald Trump is such ratings gold for the news. They can't do a segment on anything else, because if they do
I think they've gone over. I think they're now, overdoing it. It's constant. I mean,
what's what the people want? If I'm watching,
they're making ups. It's not even. There's nothing interesting happening with. It was interesting before because it was the primary. He was giving speeches all the time, and something exciting.
Yeah, we're in
happening.
a lull right now.
Now we're in a lull. Nothing is happening, so they're making crap up, and it's boring, and it's getting old. It's like this is not interesting right now.
Yeah, but here's the thing. It's what the audience wants. If I'm watching the news, if I'm watching CNN or MSNBC or something, and they get off of Trump, and they start talking about the Flint water crisis or the plane crash, and it's not Trump, I switch the station until I can find someone. Like we were watching a Trump speech the other day in Anaheim, California. And it was on Fox. I couldn't believe they were carrying it live on Fox. And then Shepard Smith cut in. And in the middle of it, he started talking. And what did I do? I was on Periscope. What did I do? I immediately changed the station to One American News and watched the Trump speech. And, I even see it now in the chat room on Periscope, on the radio in the mornings, and even here on the podcast. If we start this thing with Obama and the nuclear bomb's a little different because people are offended. But if we start talking about something that isn't Trump related, people don't want to hear it. They're not interested. People are only interested in Donald Trump. I mean, I'm not complaining,
but when there's nothing happening, it does after a while. Like at first when the primary was really going on, I was like, ooh, I loved watching the news. Because it was
a competition.
He would always say crazy things, and you'd love to see people react. But it's I hate to say it, it's getting old. Like I don't want to really watch anything till the conventions. It's like he's won the nomination, it's over. And if you want to see what's going on in the world, do not watch the national news because you will not know. You got to watch your local news because you will not find all they do.
There's no news,
is
only
political commentary
24/7.
That's all they.
What
they
it is
become
with
talk
Trump
radio is what they've done. They become talk radio.
What it is. Oh, someone said in the chat room, watch the BBC. My whole life I've been hearing about how great the BBC is. We have the BBC from England on AT&T Uverse. It is terminal. The news they cover is boring. I mean, there's this one guy. I don't know his name. His name is something very British, Nigel or something. He looks like one of the Thunderbirds. Remember the Thunderbird? He looks like one of the Thunderbirds. Remember? Very boring and uninteresting. But this thing about Trump is pushing the news. If you're talking about it, but you're right. Here's the problem. There's nothing exciting really going on right now with Trump. There's some things, I was a little disappointed in Trump for backing out of the Bernie Sanders debate, frankly. I was a little disappointed for the first time in Trump. Because he was so bold about it yesterday.
He was.
And then today I read his statement, and he says, well, it's inappropriate for me to, as the nominee, to debate the second. It was very corporate, It didn't sound like something Trump had written even.
Well,
it
sounds like somebody got to him. To me, it
got
like
to
somebody,
him. Well, it gave him some advice.
Right. Well, somebody talked to him, and it sounds like somebody talked to him and got him to change his mind, and I think that makes him look a little weak.
I don't know if it makes him look weak.
I do.
I just didn't. I was looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I was, and not to destroy Bernie. I wanted to hear Trump and Bernie agree on Hillary. Because Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump have a common enemy, and it's Hillary Clinton.
I think what's possible is I agree with that, and I think what's possible. I could be wrong, but it's possible that they had a conversation. And they both agreed this was not a good idea for either of them, and that they would come out looking like they hated each other, and it would not look good with them attacking each other. So maybe they had a private conversation and they both agreed. We don't want to do this.
I love these liberals. They're acting like, oh well, Bernie would have destroyed Trump in a debate. Bernie Sanders has never debated. Anytime the debate gets rough, he backs off. He's never really debated. He's an old man. And Trump doesn't want to go into a debate and destroy Bernie Sanders either, because if he destroyed him, that would help Hillary. And he, not that Hillary's not going to get the nomination, but he wants Bernie to be competition for her. But it just. He was so strong about it yesterday and then today to come out and say no, you know.
It was. I thought it was weird.
I agree. I didn't like
it. No.
But you know what? Every time Trump does something that I think he always turns out to be right in the end. You know, he always seems to make the right decision.
He does. It's amazing. So I guess, you know, like he says, trust me.
Yeah, I trust Donald Trump. I really do. You know, on our show tomorrow, we're not going to do it because we're going to end today, but we're going to have another show tomorrow. I'm going to play the Brad Thor, Glenn Beck conversation. You know, Brad Thor, the thriller novelist, and Glenn Beck were talking about finding. Actually, Brad, I'll play the audio on the show tomorrow. But Brad Thor told Glenn Beck that if the Congress will not, this is what Brad Thor said, if the Congress will not remove Trump from office, this is after he's president, what patriot will? And you know that's you can't talk that way. You're not supposed to.
No.
You know, John Wilkes Booth thought he was a patriot. You know.
Yes.
You know, I mean, as crazy as that is to say, you know, from his perspective, he was a patriot for the Confederate States of America, and you know. So I don't want to get into it now, but it's just a little preview of tomorrow's show. Tomorrow's show, we're going to talk about that.
You told me that John Wilkes Booth was surprised that he was treated so poor. Like he thought he'd be a big
he thought
hero.
he was going to be that he wasn't getting help. Yeah, when he was on the run. Yeah. You know, I've seen people make threats against public figures get in trouble. Okay, I've seen people. There was a guy. Well, I'll wait for tomorrow's show because I don't want to start getting into it. But I've seen the Secret Service pick people up and know of it happening to people. And I mean, I don't know if we're at some standard now where, you know, I saw something today that was disgusting. John Hinckley, who is going home and making cookies with his mama all the time.
I saw that.
You know, I mean, you know, John Hinckley shot President Reagan. And it seems to me when there were threats made against Republicans, it seems like the people making the threats like get a pass. You know, Brad Thor, I'm not going to get into it too much now. We'll do it on the show tomorrow. But Brad Thor and Glenn Beck was so inappropriate. And Glenn Beck had made some comments recently that were over the line. And Glenn Beck said that they'd been having these conversations off the air. There are certain limitations on free speech.
Right.
And the big limitation is you cannot incite violence. You cannot incite violence. You know, and what they're doing is way over the line. But that'll be tomorrow's show, and I'm going to play the exchange that Brad Thor and Glenn Beck had together, and we'll talk about it because it's disgusting. And, you know, that's what I expect from the Democrats, not Republicans talking this way.
Right.
But listen, thanks, everyone, for tuning in. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. You're listening to The Brian Craig Show. Visit our website, briancraigshow.com. And also follow us on Periscope and on Twitter at Brian Craig Show. On Facebook, facebook.com/Brian Craig Show. And listen to all of our past episodes on iTunes, TuneIn Radio, which is a great app, and Stitcher Radio. The program airs in many other places, but I think 3 places is enough to give you. All right, we don't need to confuse you any more than that. All right, everyone, take care. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll be back tomorrow with a brand new show. This next track is from a Grammy nominee, Mesa Kara. Mesa is a Lebanese-American singer-songwriter who left Lebanon in 2006 during the war and went straight to Berklee College of Music in Boston. Her concept is to blend American rock with Middle Eastern influences, which is creating a unique and beautiful style that you are about to hear. She recorded a remake of Jefferson Airplane's White Rabbit, which was featured in the movie American Hustle. That got her a nomination to the Grammys last year. Marcus Nand, he's on vocals and guitar. He was born in England, and this charming singer, Marcus Nand, is a renowned guitarist and vocalist who frequently incorporates the musical styles of world music, flamenco, and rock. Marcus and Mesa have this magic aura that is so captivating. This is You Become My World from a live performance in Los Angeles.
قلبي سحرتي قلبي
Our spirits wander closer every day. We slip inside you slowly as we play. You begin to move. Your rhythm steals my words. Our senses lock and you become my world. Reflected in your eyes, your secrets are impossible to hide. Feel you letting go deep inside your soul. You become my world.
That was Mesa Kara and Marcus Nand with You Become My World from a live performance in Los Angeles. Find Mesa on her website, mesakara.com. MAYSSAKARAA. mesakara.com. And when you're on her website, you'll find links to her Facebook, Instagram, YouTube channel, and Twitter. Also, you can find Marcus Nand on his website, marcusnand.com. And there you'll find links to his Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and his YouTube channel as well. Again, that was You Become My World from Mesa Kara and Marcus Nand.
Some days, you wake up and quickly need milk, eggs, and butter so you can make healthy omelets for your family. Other days, you wake up and quickly need milk, eggs, and butter so you can make delicious pancakes for your family. Other days, you wake up and quickly need milk, eggs, and butter so you can make butter cookies. Because you know what? You're a grown woman and you like butter cookies. With Amazon Prime Now, get over 25,000 everyday essentials, all with free 2-hour delivery. Get started at primenow.com. Selection may vary by city.
Mako, one of the ocean's most ferocious predators, unrivaled in power, unmatched in speed, until now. Mako, Orlando's tallest, fastest, longest coaster, surfaces June 10th at SeaWorld. Buy a SeaWorld annual pass starting at $14 per month and be one of the first to experience Mako with exclusive ride times and offers, plus free parking and no blockout dates. Florida residents only. Taxes and service fees not included. Restrictions apply.